So hello my friends, Devon Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, we're going to do a review of Capture One version 10. Okay, so here we are. I already have Capture One version 10 opened. I've been using the software for a very long time now. I don't know why it didn't come to me to do this review earlier. But I recently uninstalled Adobe Lightroom and I'm fully in the process right now of migrating thoroughly over to Capture One. So I wanted to do kind of a review from a more of a long-term, long-standing review for someone that's been using the software now, and what are some of the options that are available as far as it being a better alternative, in my opinion, to Adobe Lightroom. Not to say Lightroom is bad. Both softwares are absolutely excellent. I've been using Adobe Lightroom for years as well, and I've been using Capture One now for about a year and a half. Up until this point, though, it was only a software I'd used to kind of tether. And some of the, if you're not new here, then you've seen some of the behind the scenes of me connecting to the computer and shooting, and then the photos magically appear on the computer. And part of the reason why I ultimately had downloaded it originally, because Adobe Lightroom, for whatever reason, I had a hard time setting it up to tether with my Sony A7. It does support tethering, but it just, I don't know, I never really had any good luck actually initially connecting it and setting up the tethering support in that kind of connection. So long story short, I downloaded Capture One way back in the day, about a year and a half ago, give or take. And I've been using it ever since to tether and kind of use it to, I guess, select images and kind of cull through images that I take in a photo shoot. But today I want to walk you guys through some of the different parts of Capture One, and I also want to do a review from a more of a long-standing user and a long-term review of the software. And then as we kind of go on over the next couple months, I will do more videos as far as organization, workflow, actually navigating certain aspects of the interface and using certain functionality. Capture One is very complicated. It's just as complicated as Lightroom, but it's organized in a different fashion. It's a little bit more technically organized and more of like an engineering standpoint, as opposed to Adobe Lightroom, which is more fun. It has a better user interface, in my opinion, but ultimately they both do the exact same functionality. So let me kind of walk you guys through. That's kind of just the introduction on what we're going to kind of cover in today's video. But let me walk you guys through some of the main headline features of Capture One. I just kind of reformatted and started over my computer here, so I don't really have any images and things of that nature imported. So I don't have a huge gallery of images to show you guys. But ultimately, when you import images in, Capture One is organized in a multitude of different tabs. The first one is Library. Over here is your shooting tab for your camera settings. Right here is lens, your lens specific tab in terms of correcting your lens, cropping, keystone compensation, things of that nature. We'll cover that here shortly. Right here is your exposure control, this is your color control. Right here is your exposure control, histograms, dynamic range, curves, clarity, vignette. Right here is going to be your fine detail, sharpening, noise reduction, film grain, etc. Right here, a lot of people overlook this, but it's actually local adjustments, which you can do in Capture One. I didn't know that it had this feature for a very long time. It's kind of commonly overlooked. I don't see a lot of people that are using Capture One use this for whatever reason, but it's very powerful. You can actually have layers in Capture One. And over here is going to be more of your global presets that you can then basically copy and paste and duplicate onto other images. And that's just your adjustments, your global adjustments tab. Info panel, which is going to show you your keywords if you want to add keywords to images to basically start organizing them, so you can search in the Finder window here to find all the shots that I did at pools, or however you want to organize that. Your metadata is also here as well. And then you have more processing recipes. Your output file is right here, how you want to actually create custom recipes on how you export images, whether they be TIFFs or certain type of JPEGs, what's the bit rate that you're using, etc. And then this right here is batch processing, which I personally never used at all. So that's kind of an overview of the window. There's a lot of different ways to organize Capture One in terms of a workspace. They have organizations and workflow that suit dual monitor setups. So you can have Capture One have a library on one window, and then if you have an external monitor, you can just see the full res image, which will allow you, if you're shooting on set and you're doing beauty, for example, to make sure the eye is critically sharp, you can see all the details, and that proves to be very beneficial. I don't have a dual monitor setup, so I haven't been able to take advantage of that specifically, but it is in here. And something I will be taking advantage of as soon as I get an external monitor. But ultimately, it has a lot of different workflows that you can customize. It works incredibly well with tethering, which I will show you guys in another video how to kind of connect it and some best practices when it comes to tethering. You can also copy and paste adjustments directly from the first image over here using the exposure panel. You can actually make these adjustments, and then every shot that kind of comes in will have the same exact adjustments. And you can start actually basically tailoring and customizing your images as they're shot, which is an amazing feature. I don't know if Lightroom supports that functionality in terms of copying adjustments as they're imported. Actually, it does, but it's a little bit more complicated setup. But ultimately, there are some different things you can play around with there. But this is kind of a basic overview of the application. I will kind of just preface by saying my experience overall has been fantastic. Like I said before, I'm in the process right now of migrating full-time to Capture One and moving away from Adobe Lightroom, just because I want a little bit more flexibility. I do like the way that it's organized. It just has more of a professional, I don't know, has a professional vibe to it, has a professional structure and organization. All the tools are here, and it suits more of that, I guess more of the studio and editorial kind of demand. One thing I do want to preface as well by helping you guys out, when it comes to local adjustments, if you don't know about this, you can add multiple layers. This is the background layer, which has just the image. You can't like duplicate that background layer in the same way you can do in Photoshop, but you can actually up here, right here, and you can draw masks, and you can just paint, and you can, there's a setting to make it show, but basically you can actually draw masks in the same exact way that you can with Adobe Photoshop. So you can just, you know, write whatever on there, and you can actually do mask, and you can just hide the mask, and it works exactly the same way as Adobe Photoshop, which is something that most people may not know. But ultimately, my long-term experience with Capture One has been very positive, and I will be moving full-time over to Capture One. As soon as I get my hands on Capture One version 20, I will do an actual first impressions and first look at that. But this is just a preface to start a new series of us doing Capture One videos and us kind of moving away from using Adobe Lightroom for the tutorials that you're going to see on our channel. So part of the reason why I want to do the review is so you guys kind of have a basic overview as we do more tutorials for Capture One 10 specifically, or version 20 if we move over to that version. You have a basic understanding of where some of these tabs are, what's in them. I will go through these more in depth as we kind of start the series, but I want to give you guys a brief overview, a little bit of a long-term review, and then we're going to start working through some more organization, some file structure, using some of these specific tools and etc. to come. So overall, my experience is fantastic. I hope you guys check out Capture One. Download the demo if you haven't downloaded it already. It is fantastic software, incredible application for tethering purposes if you're shooting connected to the computer. Otherwise, great culling abilities, just like Adobe Lightroom. You can just press 5 or whatever, and you can color coordinate your tabs. I'll go through that more specifically in another video, but overall, fantastic. Definitely check it out if you guys haven't already. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found the contents of today's video insightful and added value to you. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Also, leave us a like and a comment in the description down below. Let us know if I overlooked something or I missed something covered in today's video. This is Devon Lennox. You know where to find us. PhotographyPX.com.